The Detroit Lions, among 29 other teams, have a holdout released right now for the second round unsigned draft pick, Tate Ratledge. The guard that we're expecting to get a lot of play this season has not been signed ahead of training camp. We're going to dive into all that and more when I come back here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. Hey yo, AC. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rock on the Detroit Lions, man. My pride.
All right, this is not what we wanted to hear just a few days away from training camp getting underway in Allen Park, and there's a stalemate. It's not just in Detroit, though. It is among 29 other teams, like I had mentioned at the opening of this video. Look, gearing up for a July training camp, you expect to have everybody signed. It is extremely important for these teams to make sure that they hit the ground running and these rookies get as many reps as they can. So I'm going to break it down in an article that I wrote last night into this morning and kind of give you the Cliff Notes version of what's going on and why and how impactful it is for the league, because this isn't just a one-off. This is going to change the landscape of the NFL from this year forward. I don't believe it's going to stop, and I think that there's some relevant information here as to why that is a fact. And it's not going to stop. Next year, we're going to see a lot of the same thing. So as it goes here, NFL teams that were gearing up for rookie, mini camps and OTAs and that, they had their guys in, right? I mean, a lot of them played with, what you would call like a teacher's note, right? That they're allowed to play. And they did. A lot of them geared up for mini camps and OTAs, including Tate Ratledge, has been taking a ton of reps. And I want to preface this video by saying, look, I've got nothing against Tate Ratledge. This is business, right? But this is just not what Lions fans need right now. We've already lost enough this season. Between 14 assistant coaches and offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and multiple players, it's a lot. And I think the Lions are looking to really, get into this season and get going with not only a healthy group, but a group that is ready to go out and win a Super Bowl. And this news this doesn't help. And we're literally 3 days away from camp, getting started. So the reason why this really happened is Carson Schweschinger and Jaden Higgins. They were 2 second-round picks, one from Cleveland and the other from Houston. Both of them got guaranteed contracts, and they were second-round picks. This is unheard of, right? It's the first time it's happened. We've heard of the issues, with Shamar Stewart out in Cincy and the guaranteed language on the back end of his contract and things that he wanted changed. So he was kind of like that first shoe to drop. But these two guys, they got these deals done. It was unprecedented. And this benchmark really kind of froze what was happening within the NFL. It froze negotiations league-wide. Like I said, including Tate Ratledge. Now, as you may remember, he was drafted number 57 overall. The Lions moved up 3 spots from 60 to go up and get him. And now he sits out when rookies need to report here in just 3 days, July 16th. So it's leaving, Lions to kind of wonder how his absence might upset the apple cart or create a big ripple in Allen Park. So what is the contract standoff? Well, Ari Mirov, he kind of nailed this trigger point where his quote was, "It all started when Jaden Higgins got a fully guaranteed contract, and then Carson Schweschinger did the same. Since then, 0 second-rounders have signed. Agents are now demanding full guarantees before anyone blinks." And that's the story right there, the blinking, right? Who's gonna talk first in the negotiation? Who's gonna blink? So this binary shift, man, 2 picks with full guarantees outside of the first round and 30 without has put every team and agent really on edge right now ahead of camp. So what I see now is a shifting market, and it's kind of, the basis of argument here is around 2 deals, the 2 that I just spoke about, and how this is really evolving in the NFL with franchises, including the Lions. They appear very hesitant right now. They're hesitant to adopt this new model. One, it's not in the collective bargaining agreement, which we'll go over that a little bit too. It's not in the collective bargaining agreement. So they don't really have to do anything. But why would you want to adopt a new model, one, that isn't in the CBA? I mean, this hasn't been flushed out. I'm sure they've had conversations about this in the past, like what would happen, what could happen, When will this get changed? Will we go do, full guarantee contracts, for all rounds? And what does that look like? Which I think is coming sooner rather than later. And when that new CBA happens in about 4 or 5 more seasons, I bet you there's going to be some big changes, some big ratifications to the bylaws within the NFL. So the long-term implications, I believe, is what's holding this up. The Lions, like many of the other teams, are probably thinking, okay, what's going to happen next, man? Like who's next? Is it the third rounders this year? Thank God we got them signed. So with only 2 of the 32, second round picks signed, the implications of a league-wide holdout, at least for the second round of this year's draft, it's imminent. It's happening. So under the rookie wage scale, though, total values are fixed, and guarantees and offset clauses are negotiable. So this is kind of where these guys are taking an opportunity to stick their foot in the door and say, hey, that's not enough, right? Texans, Browns, they're the ones that shattered this mold. They guaranteed those 2 deals. They screwed everybody else. Now, the agents, obviously, for picks number 35 through 64 are saying, wait. You guys got good deals. My guys need good deals. So, again, until one side blinks, all these rookies that are unsigned, they're not going to be in camp. And I'm going to explain why Tate Ratledge cannot be in camp. Like, this is a big deal, too. So, the camp impact is all unsigned second-round rookies. They can attend the voluntary workouts like we had seen, right? They can do it via what's called participation agreements, which I call the teacher's note, right? Got a note from your parents, you know what I'm saying, like you did back in school. But none will be able to practice or suit up for camp without a fully signed contract, right? So you can get away with a little bit in the beginning of the season. You can't get away with it all. Now, the LA Chargers opened up camp with rookies on July 12th, which was yesterday. And guess what? Trey Harris wasn't there. He didn't report. He is the first 2025 second rounder to miss the first day of camp in his current contract standoff. And now, what are the other 29 guys going to do? Probably the same, right? They can't do anything while they're there. Why be there? I guess I would probably report, but wouldn't do anything because I would assume the contract would be getting done quickly. So if his contract gets done today, now I haven't seen anything as of recording this video and writing the article, so something could be happening right now. And if it is, then this means I think all of the other ones will follow suit. Depends on what happens, though. So any further holdout, it could force these teams to really adjust their depth charts. Obviously, they could be looking for more players. It's going to limit the rep for some of these key assets they brought in through the draft. And it could potentially slow, all of these rookies' development, while they're transitioning to the game speed of the NFL, which, as we know, is quite different. A little case study for the Detroit Lions and Tate Ratledge. Now, the Detroit Lions signed, 3 of 7 of the 2025 draft picks. They signed 6 of 7. Only Tate Ratledge remains unsigned as rookies report July 16th. Now, the veterans report on July 19th, and that's when you really need everybody cohesive, man. You got to have these guys in there. Here's why it's big. You're missing the camp installs, right? We've got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. For us, it's the offensive side of the football that matters the most. This could, cost him important reps, which it will. And this is a very diverse and difficult offensive scheme. We're talking zone blocking scheme, pass pro packages. And again, it's the new coordinator that I think is the big caveat to all this. You got John Morton there, not Ben Johnson. So everybody has to learn what's going on. Not just Tate, but everybody. And it's a lot easier to learn together. So the Lions are they're kind of on a tightrope right now. They're doing this little balancing act. You know what I mean? They got to uphold the wage scale. They need or must avoid a precedent that invites future holdouts. So we'll see what happens. Is it going to happen sooner rather than later? How about collusion concerns? So we just heard, just a couple of days ago of this collusion story within the NFL, with them kind of pressing back and forcing teams to, withhold guarantees in free agent contracts. Big story, huge story. It's kind of something I was talking about a few months ago, and even a little bit last year when I had recognized, at a point in time, it was 2020, 21, that the running back contracts, they are really trying to force running backs to a lower a lower contract. And now it seems league-wide that they were doing some of this stuff with other positional groups. As these positional groups get really expensive, defensive end, wide receiver, quarterback, we're kind of seeing it, right? But ever since the Deshaun Watson deal, there's been some gamesmanship going on. So much so it's been collusion. So now here's my opposite take for this. So in June of 25, NFL settled a collusion grievance. It was brought by the veterans who alleged teams conspired to depress free agent pay. Now, agents for second-round rookies appear to be orchestrating a reverse collusion. No one signs until fully guaranteed, deals are on the table. So they're taking the reins, man, and they're pushing back at the NFL. Now, both scenarios really underscore a shifting power dynamic here. Who really pulls the purse strings? Is it the NFL or is it the players? And I think we know as this great union we live in, the Republic of the United States, the people hold the power. All you have to do is use your voice. Well, these players, man, they're using their voice. They want more. They deserve more. So what are some of the other guys saying, around the league? Well, how about Kurt Popejoy, USA Draft Wire from USA Today says, giving a second-round pick a fully guaranteed deal is an outlier. 30 rookies holding out feels like collusion. How about Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk? He says, before 25, no second-round picks have received a fully guaranteed rookie contract. Now, 30 picks are holding out simply to explain, far from simple to solve. And if you've ever listened to Mike Florio, you probably see his face right there. Here's the rules, man. No contract, no camp, right? Just like no block, no rock, no contract, no camp. So while Articles 3, 7, and 23 of the NFLPA's collective bargaining agreement focus on pay and per diems and league-wide precedents and team policy, really all of the teams enforce a big hard line, right? And that is unsigned rookies cannot participate in any official capacity or in preseason training camp activity. So without a signed player contract, no practices, no meetings, no game prep, no reps, nothing. So this has been confirmed by not only multiple sources, but reports that Tate Ratledge will not be able to participate in the Detroit Lions preseason training camp this summer until and when his contract gets done. So look, ladies and gentlemen, this is not what we wanted. Now, the consequences for holding out for a rookie are nil, right? There's nothing. They don't get penalized. They don't get fined. Why? They're not under contract. So you can't do anything to them. If it was a signed rookie that decided to hold out, well, they can get up to $40,000 a day in fines. So Tate's got that on his side. He doesn't have to worry about, money. Kinda. He's going to lose his per diem. And if I read the contract right, in the NFL CBA, it's like $1,700 a day per diem. That's huge. It's a huge amount of money for these guys. Now, there is a little bit of what I call replay risk. Okay, so a full season holdout, if it went that far, which I don't think it's going to go, it could force re-entry into the 2026 draft by Tate Ratledge, which he could then get drafted by any team. And this is the case for all of these guys. And really, I think that the opportunity for Shamar Stewart is there, and I'll be talking about that in another video that comes out later today. Team chemistry and development, we know that's a big one, right? There's going to be a huge missed opportunity here if he misses, even a few days. That's a big opportunity missed for Tate Ratledge and this team to kind of get the ball rolling early, right? My team observations, I think that the NFL landscape is shifting here. I think the occurrence of rookie holdouts, it's less frequent. We know that, but with a few notable exceptions, over the last decade or so, the trend indicates a growing acceptance among players to sign contracts before camp. I think that they've always felt, fairly protected with the way that the, NFL PA had guaranteed contracts for at least the first round, as where before it wasn't. So right now we need to monitor Ratledge's situation closely. And obviously, as soon as that contract gets signed, I'll be back on this mic. My final take on this is the contract situation. It's emblematic of what the evolving dynamics are in the NFL. I think that as teams really begin to navigate a lot of the complexities of contract negotiations. I think that there's this big balance that the Lions need to focus on, and the urgency of signing Tate Ratledge with the potential ramifications of setting a precedent that they don't want for the future, right? I don't think a lot of these teams want to guarantee second-round draft picks right now. The outcome of this situation could have lasting effects, not only for Tate Ratledge and the Lions, but it could also for Tate's career. You know, the strategies that are employed by the Lions and other teams in future draft classes could start to change because of this. So my question is, what will happen with the 2026 rookies? Right? And I'm sure that's what the Lions are asking too, and the other 29 teams dealing with this. Will the NFLPA ratify the player contract bylaws by then? Doubtful. Will they restructure the CBA? Doubtful. Will third-round rookies next year start to pipe up and want guaranteed contracts? Possibly. The Lions can't afford to lose Ragnow and Zeitler and now our second-round pick. It's that simple. We couldn't enter the season, you know, having to replace either Zeitler or Ragnow with Ratledge, and now Ratledge is not even in camp. Like, that's not good, or potentially not going to be in camp here in 72 hours. So as the Detroit Lions head into training camp, I think that the organization really needs to act swiftly. I'm sure that they're trying. They're doing everything that they can. They're going to ensure that Tate's integration, you know, into the team is effective. I have confidence from what I've seen, read, and heard about Tate Ratledge that this is just semantics. There's no hard line here with him about wanting to be a Detroit Lion. This is what his agent is doing. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot. That when you hear all of these people say, well, you know, Aiden can take a cheap deal and J-Mo can take, you know, a cheaper deal. No, they can't. They can't. So when we have these discussions about signing players in free agency and spending, you know, tens of millions of dollars on another defensive end or whatever, it can't happen for things like this because the other players on the team need to get paid too. And their agents are the ones that control the purse strings, not the player. And this is an exact case right now for you to understand and learn next year when everyone wants to start bringing in these high-priced free agents, that it doesn't work to the benefit of the team long term. And this is an exact reason why. So for Tate Ratledge, man, I don't see any potential locker room dysfunction or anything. I think that he'll be in camp. I'm hoping he'll be in camp, you know, on Wednesday. But right now, Tate Ratledge, he's not under contract, which means he won't be there. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.